everybody, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be making meatballs. My style, it's a little bit more Mexican style. Let's get started. So the ingredients we're going to be using today is 7 small
potatoes,
chicken base, paprika, rosemary with garlic, some thyme, 2 cloves of garlic, 1 red onion, 4 tomatoes, a little bit of coriander, and we're going to use 1 egg. And I'm using the gluten-free breadcrumbs, but you can use the normal breadcrumbs if you'd like. 1.5 pounds of ground beef, and we're going to add in all of our spices into the ground beef first. That's our first step. Let's put in about 1.5 spoons. Let's put in 1 spoon of rosemary and garlic. So 2 spoons of paprika. Let's cut up our onion real quick. So I already have it sliced in half. Now we're going to make it as small as we can. And as you can see, I'm holding it together so that it doesn't fall apart, so that when I cut it this way, it's easier. I'm going to do our garlic. Just mash it so you can peel it easier. Make sure to cut up the garlic in very small pieces. So we're going to add 1 egg in there. We're just going to sprinkle a little bit of the breadcrumbs on top. I think that's about 4 spoons. Now we're going to put our 4 tomatoes in our blender. Just cut them in half. Toss them in the blender. Don't cut your fingers. I have a little bit of chipotle here. These are just canned chipotles. So for the chipotle, we're actually going to add 2 teaspoons to give it a little kick of spice. And then we're going to add 2 teaspoons of the chicken base. I'm going to add about 2 cups of hot water. I'm going to just stir the spoon around until all of it's off the spoon. Now we're going to strain this and put it in our pot. I'm going to turn on my pot and I'm going to add just a little bit of avocado oil. And just let that heat up for a little bit. While our pot's heating up, we're just going to cut up our potatoes real quick, and we're just going to cut them up in 4. You don't want them too small because these potatoes are already small as they are. This one's a little bigger, so maybe I'll cut it up in 6. So that's about how big you want it to be, more or less. Not too small, not too big. Now we're going to stick them in the oil. I think this is a little bit warm. Let them cook for a little bit. Now we're going to pour our broth into our potatoes. I'm going to strain it. If it's just a little bit, you can just use your hand. And I'm going to add our coriander, which is about just like a handful of coriander, and let that boil a little bit. Once it starts boiling, then I'm going to add our meatballs. So now our broth is already boiling, so we're going to add the meatballs. We're just going to make about this much, and we're just going to toss it around in our hand. Put them in one by one. I don't like them too big, so I just make them about this size. They're about 2.5 inches wide. We might need to add just a little bit of water depending on how our broth boils. I'm going to add in 1 more cup of water just because I feel like it needs more broth. I'm going to stir it around. And then I'm going to let it sit for about 30 minutes boiling. Once it starts boiling pretty well, you want to turn your heat down on low. And then just let it sit for another 15 more minutes. So while that's cooking, I just finished all of my dishes. So now I can actually sit down and have a nice meal without having to worry about having to clean the kitchen. That's just a little tip. So now we're going to taste our yummy, delicious meatball soup. We're going to serve some in this bowl. Look at that. Look at that. Now we have our tortillas that we're going to eat with our soup. So now I'm going to taste our delicious soup. It's hot. Oh, it's so good. Well, I hope you make it at home. It's delicious. Please make sure to like it and subscribe. Or is it like it and subscribe? Thank you so much for watching it, and I hope you can enjoy it at home. Bye, guys.